Just showed up because I heard it was going to be here, and I met citizens from Korea, from Uzbekistan. We have people here from Korea, from India. Some of us are Jewish, most, not all of us. We're just here because we want to bring our family back, and they want to stop the craziness. So, what we're saying here today is when you walk into steal a child out of their bed, take a head up, get tap the head up. Rape women so violently that their pelvis is broken. Burn people together. That's the conversation we want to have, and we want to bring them back. There's a huge mile of difference between taking a child or a young lady and the police taking criminal into custody. No more equivalence. And it's sad that it has to be done, but we need to protect ourselves. And, we're not going to say anything about the prisoners because they're criminals.
Yeah, all men say especially about rape, being a woman, right? So a lot of people say Hamas are freedom fighters, right? When has rape ever been justification to fight for freedom? There are oppressed people in America. We have African Americans, Native Americans, right, who have been oppressed, and none of them have gone to rape white women in this country. Okay? And I think women of color in this country would be in arms if our fellow men went and said, we're going to rape white women because we've been oppressed. There's your difference.
Palestinian rights or no rights, this is about fighting evil. Very well put. To the Arab leaders who've extended their arm in peace. The leader of Egypt, the leader of Jordan. We were this close to signing an agreement with Saudi Arabia, peace pact. Why did it happen on that day? There's a lot of belief that it was done now to stop signing with Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia's come right out and said they would still want to be our friends. Saudi Arabia will be our friends. They're not a violent people, Saudi Arabia. And neither are the Palestinian people. It's the terrorists of Hamas, Hezbollah, led by Iran. We have to get rid of Hezbollah. We have to get rid of Hamas. We have to do regime change in Iran. But we have love. Notice we have love here. We're not advocating violence on anybody. So we'll make it. There'll be peace. People want a ceasefire? All they got to do is release the hostages. On October 17th, the United Nations said that all of their supplies, their warehouses, Hamas came in and took their fuel, their food, and their medical supplies. That Hamas came in and took, UN said that Hamas took their supplies, their food, their fuel. So Hamas has the medical supplies. They have the fuel. They're not giving it to the civilians. Israel, for the past 7 days, has been giving these humanitarian pauses. We've had a full 15 ceasefires with Hamas. We were on a ceasefire on October 6th. We want peace. We realize after 15 ceasefires, and they break it in this horrific way, that we need to get rid of them. They've lost the right to be a political and military organization. People have the right to live and be free. We want that. I've been to Gaza. I've lived in Gaza. I have friends there. Yeah, we don't hate Gazans. It was a beautiful place before Hamas took over. There were no fences. We could walk in. I went shopping. I had tea. There were a lot of farms, Jewish farms and Palestinian farms. I graduated University of Illinois, study agriculture. We learned. No, I've been to Gaza. It was in the 80s. It was a beautiful place. So yeah, we don't have any hate towards the Gazans. Hamas, Hezbollah, and their leaders in Iran. So we'll make peace. We will. And I don't know. People say we occupy. I don't know what we occupy. I was against the Israelis taking our own people out. I don't know if people know that. We had farms, we had factories, we had villages, and the people who owned those farms gave them to their Palestinian neighbors. And the terrorists came in on day 2. We left. The Israeli army physically picked out the Jews, picked us up, moved us out. And the haters, I'll call them, destroyed all the farms, destroyed all the factories, destroyed all their means of working. So we gave them, and we want to continue to give them. With peace offerings in 48, with Rabin, with Omer, we gave them 84 and 97% of what they wanted. We'll find somebody who wants to have peace again. They want their own country. We'll help them get it. We just need somebody who will help it without the violence. So a phrase that was coined and started by the mullahs of Iran. Israel used to be, in thousands of years ago, where it is today, all of current Jordan, most of Syria, most of Lebanon. We gave up Jordan, even though the Balfour Declaration was going to give Jordan to the Jewish folks in the name of peace. We donated, we gave Jordan away. In the name of peace, even though we were attacked by the Egyptians, we gave the Sinai back. Between the river and the sea means there's no place for Jews. The Iranian leader said, between the river and the sea, we're going to kill all the Jews, push them in. No, there's no. It's a genocide phrase. There's no other way to say it. Despite what we heard Talib say last week. No, it's always been genocidal. I'm 5th generation American on my grandpa's side, but on my grandmother's side, she's Palestinian.
Wow.
My grandpa was also born in Israel before Israel was a modern state, so he was technically Palestinian.
The Jews were the Palestinians. There was the Christians, the Armenians, the Arabs, and the Jews and the Palestinians. We were the Palestinians. It wasn't until 1973, when Arafat went to the KGB and Soviet Union, that the Palestinian people ever became talked about. So I want the Palestinians who consider themselves Palestinians today to have peace. We'll help them build their nation. There was no Palestinian nation before. If you look at the last 15 years while Hamas was growing, every Friday after Friday prayers, they went to the land, to the border fence, and they were lighting tires on fire, polluting the groundwater, sending poison, tire gas, the smoke into Israel. They were taking children's kites, and because they couldn't get not all of them had the bombs, so they would just fly kites. They were destroying the land. They don't want the land.
Oh,
They just want us dead.
were writing recently about Jewish Voice for Peace, they accidentally, so it's a public account. The person who runs it accidentally posted something from their private account, and they are actually not Jewish, and it was connected to a terrorist organization. So whoever is actually running that account is not in the Jewish best Jewish interest. So they really aren't the voice for the Jewish people whatsoever, because it's not even a Jewish person who's running it. And I think that, I'm Israeli, my family's from Israel. I grew up in America, born and raised, and it's very different, I think, to be raised in a very American culture based on your American values. And my family that came here, very big on the American dream. We're supposed to be so grateful for the U.S. for letting us in, letting us have jobs, citizenship, things. I grew up having to be very prideful of the U.S. Whereas right now, my grandparents who survived the Holocaust, are very devastated that they're seeing things that were similar to back then. And I think it's the Jews that you do see, the Jewish people that you do see that are involved in Jewish Voice for Peace, are Jews that never had to understand the struggle like I'm first generation. Like, I understood, like I saw what my parents went through. Whereas people who are like third and fourth generation American, like they never got to struggle or understand what it's like to feel different. I've had many anti-Semitic experiences like in my life, and like not where like I feel very different, but like I have felt like the outsider and felt like I didn't belong. And like there was one other Jewish kid in my class, everyone assumed we were siblings. Like it was like always like something that was, like pointed out to me, like, where are you from? I'm from Florida, but like where are you really from? Like I've always gotten that, and I just think that Jewish Voice for Peace is very popular right now, and I think that there may be like the 1% of the Jewish, but like every single person who's anti-Jew, like anti-Semitic, anti-Israel are like grabbing that and like holding on to it for like dear life, because it's literally like the token that they need to broadcast and be like, see, like we're not bad. Look at this one Jewish person who's agreeing with us. Like I don't think that it's really representative of like the Jewish people as a whole, especially like the Jewish people in America, because not everyone grew up in a multicultural household or like in areas of diversity whatsoever. So like my mom was a kid here, and she asked her if she had horns. You know what I mean? Like things like that on the bus. Like I think that people who are part of this Jewish voice, their mom didn't have to go through that. Like they are white passing, they are American passing, like they are Christian passing. Like they don't really understand how hard it is, especially like nowadays. And like I just don't think it's the right way to like use one organization to kind of like set fire to what, like to ignite like the mission that you're trying to accomplish. Israel to be wiped off the face of the earth, wiped off the map. Like that's their goal. That's what from the river to the sea is.
Mm-hmm.
It's the Jordan River to this Mediterranean Sea, which is exactly the location of Israel.
Mm-hmm.
So like when you say that, you're basically saying to me like I'm from Florida. We have the Gulf Coast and we have the Atlantic Ocean. You said like from the Gulf Coast to the Atlantic Ocean, like what else could you possibly be besides like no Florida? In 2000, I think it was 2005, 2006, Israel gave up the land in order for peace to the Palestinians to have the Gaza Strip in. They pulled out everybody. They forced people like my friend, her great grandma was like literally born and raised there. Like generations of Jews were living in that piece of land, and they were physically like forced from their homes. Like it wasn't like they went willingly, and in order for peace, like since the dawn of time, since like the beginning of I think Jewish people, like there's always been an obstacle like of people who have wanted to exterminate us. So I think that I can see like that point of view, like with the whole like splitting the baby in half, but it's more, I think we've just been wanting just a little bit of something for so long that we would settle for literally anything at this point. Like if we wanted to, like they offered so much of the land of Israel to them in 1948 when like Israel was like established, modern Israel was established. And the next day, all 5 surrounding countries, Syria, Lebanon, Egypt, Jordan, all attacked. They would rather destroy their land than have us have it. And I feel like if that was truly like based on like what you said, like you truly felt like that was your land, like you wouldn't want any harm to it. Like when Israel gave Gaza and then Hamas was elected and that was like their whatever overseeing that they had built a millionaire, a Jewish millionaire, I think he was from New York, went and built greenhouses all throughout that area and then handed them the key, and then literally they set all the greenhouses on fire. Like they have given them so many like it's so unfair to like I think people would maybe assume that like we're like Israelis and Jews are like anti-Palestinian, but like we're really not. Like I didn't grow up that way, like no one in my family grew up that way, like none of my friends grew up that way. We're actually very pro-Palestinian. We're just anti-Hamas. Like we're anti-terrorist organization that could commit such cruel atrocities to an individual, like cutting a mom's belly, taking the baby out, then beheading the baby in front of the mom. Like things that you can't even imagine could happen. And I think that, we want them to have their own land. Like that's why we gave it to them. Like we want peace, like more than anything. Like that's how we were raised. Like we wanted to be able to live side by side. Like the most ironic thing to me is the kibbutzes that they went into and killed were the most liberal Israelis you could get. Like they had peace initiatives with them. They were creating programs. They were creating passes for them to be able to come over. Like they literally murdered the people that were helping them the most. And I think that was because they were an obstacle to like the ultimate goal. Like they were kind of in their way of achieving getting the entire Israel, like killing all the Jews basically because they were trying so hard to create this like peace and balance between the two people. And like we want the Palestinians to have their own land, like their own source of energy and water and electricity and everything. And it's so unfair that that's being taken away from them by people that are supposed to help them. And like there's what 22 Arab nations around them, and not a single one of them are taking them in. Like I just think that it's so unfair to them. And like Israel's doing what they can, but also like Israel's not gonna, step on their own people in a way to like I mean, no other country I think in the entire world would let you know before they come. Drop leaflets, like hack into the TV, send text messages, create borders for humanitarian. Like I don't, and they provided like only 7% of the water, but for some reason, like everyone ran with that and was like Israel cut off their water. And like I went to like hear someone speak who lived in that kibbutz that was attacked, and she said like they cut off their electricity for hours, but like Israel cuts off their electricity for 30 minutes, and the entire world is like so upset. So it's like really like a two-edged sword, and I think that I mean no other, in my opinion, no other like government or like controlling people has better PR than them. Like I think that they've got like the best like PR like hands down. Like they're so creative. Like they're very good at it. So like I don't blame people for like kind of falling into it, but I just think at the end of the day, like it's killing all of us and like getting Israel away. Like it's just they're against like the westernization. Like every other country is kind of going to come next. Like it's not. I think people are naive to think that that's not going to happen. That they're not going to come here next. Like when I would be like I used to go to Israel like every year. Like used to live there. Like they would burn American flags with the Israeli flags. Like America wasn't like separated. So like I think that it's important for us to all be kind of like educated on like the facts and not more like the feelings, because like I feel for them. Like I really do feel like it's so unfair, like the position that they've been put in. And I think it's like awful, but to call it a genocide when it's your own people doing it to you doesn't really seem to be like, I don't know if fair is the right word, but I think that like the day of jihad that was established, that they said like, oh, will be a day of jihad, October 13th, like to have the Muslims like come up and like attack Jews or whatever in the world. Like I was scared to go to class. Like I just feel like, whereas like this girl who's in my class is Palestinian, and she was wearing this like very like it's called like a kufia, and it's like black and white. And I just felt like how unfair it was that I had to take off like my Hebrew name, but like she got to wear that without feeling like fear. You know what I mean? And like as scary as it is, like I'm new to Chicago, so like public transportation is new to me. And like my mom was like, I'd rather you just take an Uber. Like I don't want you on the bus. Like please like take your necklace off. And it's just like I don't know how that's gonna get peace. Like I don't know how that's really gonna solve anything. Like for my mom to be like, I don't know if you should go to this vigil because people might protest. Like how can you protest a vigil?
I'm surprised there weren't counter protesters because I saw a lot of
Because this was like very, very low key. Like this was
yeah.
they established that like they made this, I think, yes, like the location public like yesterday or the day before. Because they didn't want, the last rally pro Israel rally was supposed to be a few weeks ago, and it got canceled by Chicago PD because they said it was too dangerous because the protesters like threatened to like I don't know what they threatened to do. They threatened to like come and like kind of bombard the area and get there like an hour before we were supposed to get there. So it's like we didn't even have the chance to like have our pro.
What's that?
It's like not we're not it's not an anti-Palestinian rally, it's a pro-Israel rally.
Right.
I think that's the difference. Like they're having anti-Israel rallies. We're having pro-Israel rallies.
What do you think Israel should do different? Do you have any ideas on that?
Israel, the thing is, like, I know the Israeli people, like, I grew up with them. Like, they don't care about PR at all. Like, they are the most, like, they're very blunt. They don't care what other people think, really. Like, they'll tell you exactly how it is, like, to your face, and, like, they won't think it's rude whatsoever. Like, so PR for them is, like, the last thought on their mind. Like, it's just not in their personality. Like, they don't have PC, like, is not a thing there. Like, these people are, like, everyone there is like the child or grandchild of someone who survived something. So like none of them really like, they make Holocaust jokes there. You know what I mean? Like things are not. They should care a little bit more about PR, but like they really don't.
Do you think it matters? Like, do you think PR like really matters in the end, or
I think it does in the age of social media. That I've been there. Like I've been in Jerusalem. There's like 4 quarters. Like and I found myself like in the Arab quarter. Walking around and like I saw this girl like push an Israeli soldier, and then he like
like stepped back and it looked like he stepped on someone else and they recorded it and like I saw it later on that day and it looked like he
Really?
was like literally like stepping on this girl.
Hmm.
And like I saw the video. Like I mean like I saw it like myself like in person. And I was like, that's PR, like that's so good. Like
Mm.
if I was on that side and like I wanted that message to be across, like that would be such an easy like thing to contort and kind of publish in my favor. So I do think Israel should be a little bit better with their PR, but they just don't really care. And like in Golda Meir, like the first and only Israeli prime minister, female prime minister, she said something like, there won't be peace until the Palestinians love their kids more than they hate us. And like I think that's like kind of what's happening right now. Like as unfortunate as it is, like they're letting like their own civilians kind of suffer for their behaviors, like for Hamas's behavior, at the expense of their own people, because they just hate us so much.
Hmm.
It's like, I mean, I'll never understand why they hate us so much, but this hate's been going on for a really long time.
Certain groups are bound together by hate
Yeah.
because
We're most similar to them. Like even Hebrew and Arabic we use Arabic words like in our day-to-day language in Hebrew. Like the Arab Israelis that live there, like they're your neighbors, they're your friends. Like everyone,
They're citizens.
yeah, they're citizens. Like when you go to Haifa, it's the most coexistent city ever. You have like Christian restaurant, Arabic restaurant, Israeli restaurant, like all in a row. They share their space, they share their neighborhood. Like it seems so wild that like someone who hasn't been there can make such claims, but then you go and you see it yourself and it's like it's beautiful. And when I go there, like I don't feel like they're different from me. Like we grew up, I think no one is more, I think that we're the most similar, like culturally. Like I did 23andMe. I'm from the Levant, like the Levant region. They do 23andMe, they're from the Levant region. Like I think that we're similar and like that's overlooked sometimes or a lot of the times. Like I think that we're very similar, so I don't really know why I mean, probably hate comes back from like so long ago, but Hamas they just hate Jews.
Plead before you. Adonai have mercy, be at their side, support them, protect them, and quickly bring them back to the embrace of their families and all who love them, as you have declared. Thus says the Lord, behold, I will restore the captives of Jacob's tents and have mercy on the dwellings. We beseech you, Adonai, quickly fulfill your word. Here I am with you. I will watch over you wherever you go and will bring you back to this land. Indeed, I will not leave you until I have done what I have said to you.